Alrighty,
Here we are.
here we are on the Focus on You with Phil and Oscar. I am Phil, and the guy you see on the other side, that is Oscar. What's going on?
I'm fine. Are you running from the police again? What's going on? You're in the car.
Yeah, actually, just stop spreading, stop spreading rumors about me, man. I know you just got out of lockup, but
Not
you
just.
really
I got
need.
out last week.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. Well, we have a great show ahead of you. We got Mr. T Money on with us today, and we're going to be just kind of finding out a little bit about who he is, what he does, and share some love with your friends and family. Make sure you share the link, like, subscribe. For those of you watching on YouTube, hoorah to you. We are very happy that you are on with us and that you will be watching the program with us today. Sorry for being late. We had a few technical glitches, but guess what? That is a part of doing this. So we're very much apologize for the tardiness on that. So without any further ado, without going into anything else, I'm going to ask Oscar to just go ahead and talk a little bit about, the legal shield thing because it's a identity theft is huge, huge right
I'm
now. A
gonna.
billion. Well, I'll let you talk about it, but over a billion identities were compromised just the other day.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about that, and then we'll come back and bring T Money on because you want to stay tuned for that. So make sure you like and share, everyone. Go ahead, Oscar.
All right. So I'll keep it really short. If you do not have a system to monitor your identity, and that means every number that points to you, your driver's license, your insurance card, your passport, everything. We are in critical times right now. We just had billions of records stolen, and everybody's social security number is for sale. I spoke to you guys that know Kim. Kim said she got an alert from ID Shield that her Social Security is trying to be used four different places at the same time. So it is critical that you have a monitoring system. Now, if you have a monitoring system that doesn't have licensed private investigators to do the restoration, like they say in the Bronx, you bought the ticket, didn't see the show. It's going to cost you time, money, and lots of stress trying to actually do your own research and trying to do your own restoration. So for probably about $1 a day, you can get a licensed private investigator to do the heavy lifting and restore identity. So we do legal help, identity theft help, and part of the money that we make there goes to funding Operation Underground Railroad, which tries to stop child sex trafficking here in the U.S. and around the world. My number is 646-578-7097. Give me a call. Let's talk. Let's see how safe your family is and what we can do to help you sleep better at night. Back to you, Phil. Phil?
All right. Thank you very much, sir. That was amazing. I think we lost our guest for a second. I think he might have fallen off, but his signal kept going in and out. So we'll keep talking until he gets back on.
Today's a glitchy day.
It is. It is one of those it's one of those days where streaming is just being very difficult. But anyway, let's go into a little bit about what PNN is doing. We are in a phase of just actual growth right now, connecting with other networks and increasing our capacity to reach the world with a positive message, and also how they can like build their lives through entrepreneurial efforts, connecting with people that can offer grants and more exposure on their platforms. So if you're interested in doing that, please feel free to reach out to us because that's what we're about, helping people grow. And we had a great discussion on our part of breakfast this morning. Wasn't that awesome, Oscar?
Yeah, I'm trying to reconnect with T. Hold on one second. Yeah, he says he's trying, but the restream is being annoying and not letting him on. So I just resent him the link. Okay, what were we talking about? Yes, this morning on the Power Up Breakfast. If you haven't been to Power Up Breakfast, you're losing a lot of information and a lot of camaraderie, and a lot of networking. That's what we do on the Power Up Breakfast in the morning.
Yeah, we talked about quite a bit of things um as well. But here we go. We got our guest is back on. Let's welcome Mr. T Money. T Money.
Here he is. He's straight from the basement of Kooley High. Anybody that knows about T Money knows what that
Guys,
means.
hi guys, how you doing? How's
Good, good.
everything?
Good, and good to have you back. Good to have you back, man.
Uh,
So I want to know. My personal question is, how did you come up with T Money?
Cover the question because my Wi-Fi is acting like it's on crack. So let's hear the question again. 'Cause I couldn't hear you, brother.
So how did you
Are you
come up
there,
with
Doctor
T
Phil?
Money?
Talk to me, man.
Can you hear me?
Well, I didn't really come up with. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Are we on the same page right
Yes, I
now, good
can. Yes,
bud?
I.
Uh, okay, good. So hopefully we stay that way. No, I didn't come up with the name myself. When you play sports, I played a lot of sports when I was in high school, and the term money, quote unquote, is that's so good. He's good to go. He can score. He can score at any particular moment. Blah blah blah. And then there was another. There was a guy who I was friends with. That I think that was related to my partner, Dr. Dre. His name was Daryl or Derek or something like that. And then he used the term money as his moniker. So all those things just fell into place, and I said, well, I'm gonna use T Money, because at the time back then you would use your last name, or you would use Ski, or you would use something really really old school, you know what I mean? And money was new on the scene, so I just chose to use T Money, which was pretty cool, you know.
So
Cause
for
my
for
DJ
those
name was was my last name and T, which was not working. I was not getting any chicks with Kels T. That was not gonna happen for me. So I had to change my name.
So the whole point
I
was
had to
to get the
change.
chick. It
Oh,
was.
that's
It
the
was.
whole point of all of us.
hello.
When you're 17, come on, man. Are you
But
kidding me? Knock it off. When you're 17, that is the point. There is no other point. You want to be
it's
cool. You want to be cool in front of the chicks. That's it. There is no point but that. Facts. That's all, man. What you want to do at 17? You want to hang out
facts.
with your friends and you scoping chicks. So I DJ'd to entertain chicks. So I play sports. I did everything that the cool guys did. So
But back in the day, DJing was like the coolest thing in the world. It was like being a DJ was you're on top of the world.
uh, yeah. Well, the DJ back then was the star, was the king of the show. He
Right.
was the orator. The MC was just filler, until
Mhm.
records came into
Mhm.
play. Um, I mean, but MCs played a huge role in early hip hop as well. They were sick, and really individual rappers at that time too. It were groups, and groups where they performed, and they did great things back then. They had dance routines, and do that kind of back then. To be quite honest with you, rap groups were really interesting because they didn't have the advent of record. They had to you know they had to put together all the names and what they wore. Their whole persona was different, man. Like they could learn a lot from a lot of the old school. The DJ was the boss. The DJ played the music. The DJ got the crowd. Everybody followed the DJ at that time. So yeah, being the DJ was really. really something to behold, man. He was that man, you know.
So you were talking old school. So what have you seen in the change since 1973 when rap started and what's going on now? What changed? How has it evolved? Did you hear that?
I couldn't really hear you. My connection is bad. It says it again.
I said how has rap changed and hip hop
Oops, my
changed
connection is
from
lost.
I can still see you. I'm
I
gonna throw the question up in the chat.
How has hip hop changed?
Oh, that's the question. I can hear Dr. Phil. I don't know what happened to Oscar. I'm not too sure. How
Yeah.
has hip hop changed? That's a paint with a broad stroke because it changed in business. Changed hip hop in a great way because there were. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I am best here.
Yeah.
Sorry about the Wi-Fi connection. But hip hop changed vastly because of the advent of it becoming more of a business. Um, it came off the streets of New York City, from the Bronx, New York, into becoming a business when they started realizing that making records could generate income. Doing films could generate income, selling the type of clothes that they make, or they wear, I should say, could generate income. When you could actually go on tour, like big groups at the time, you know, like Parliament Funkadelic, like Cameo, like all these other groups. Once you can do that, then it becomes big business and it changes everything. Then you get radio played and you get treated. Now you're a recording artist. You're not just some guys that are popular in their borough and go from borough to borough, or you're the hottest DJ in this borough, or you become something else. You know what I mean? So it changed vastly through the advent of the music of the hip hop, the business of hip hop.
So you've evolved, following your career. You've gone from being a DJ, doing an album, doing a couple of movies, now an entrepreneur. Can you explain how or who's been your mentor, your guide? Who do you look up to and say, hey, I want to be like that person? Or is it just you saying, all right, this is my next step. This is what I want to do. How does a person that is in your shoes 20 years ago say,
Hmm.
hey, I want to do what T Money's doing? What are my steps?
Yep. Well, there were, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't necessarily have one mentor or one person that I followed. I just had great examples of people who were creative geniuses that were in front of me. People like Chuck D, people like the Bomb Squad, Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, Flavor Flav, Bill Stephanie, who was a great businessman. I had Russell Simmons at the time, who revolutionized the business of hip hop. Um, and then followed a lot of their examples as it relates to never settling for one thing. You have to be a chameleon in this business. You can't just say, well, I'm going to be a DJ and that's all I'm going to do. And if you listen to people now, you would think that that's the mantra now today, but that's always been the mantra even back then. That's why I chose to DJ, and the natural maturation is to actually produce records. Myself and Dr. Dre, um, from your MTV Raps, actually produced songs, and we did remixes for Def Jam, and we did films, and we did all these things because it was the natural progression to be business minded, to grow in what we were doing. Because if you stay in one thing, you get stagnant. That's something that we weren't interested in tolerating. We couldn't stomach that. That wasn't us. Because we were multi-talented in the first place. So why not display it? So, um, but I never really just to answer your question. I never really just looked up to one particular person per se that like guided me through the business. that wasn't it. It was just there was so many various examples of what I saw. My first, to be quite honest with you, the first person that I actually seen that had the same kind of business model and and even down to the wardrobe was Russell Simmons. My first day going to Rush Management, myself and Dre were coming from Long Island, and we went out to this place, and we went to talk to Russell about our deal and X, Y, and Z. And I walk into this room, and it was just him and another woman answering the phone, and people were calling about hiring Run DMC to do concerts, and he was entangled in this this back and forth about how much, and then I noticed that there's graffiti all over the wall, and that people running in and out of his office, and there was a lot of activity, and he's talking about rap music, the music that we love so much, and I'm sitting here like, what did and I'm harking back to what my parents said. You can't make a living out of this, but somebody's making a living. So how does this work? Okay, I'm now in shell shock. I'm sitting here like, okay, so this guy's doing it. Then he comes from behind the desk, and he's wearing Lee jeans. He's wearing Adidas with no strings. He's wearing a regular T-shirt. He's wearing a bucket hat. And I'm like, he's dressing like how we dress, and he's around my age. I'm like, so what am I missing? You know, as it relates to making money. I said, well, this is what me and Dre looked at each other and said, this is what we are trying to achieve. We're trying to be in this realm. We're trying to be here, not necessarily be Russell, because no one at the time could be him. But we're trying to, if we got a piece of that, we'd have been happy, right? So that's what we started doing. We honed our craft. We started producing, and my only regret is your MTV Raps came up, and me and Dre stopped producing songs. We were on the cusp of doing great things as producers, so we got away from that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I met Russell Simmons at an event, and his wife, who was stunning, like that. I could see
Oh,
where you're like,
Kamara, you
yep,
met
I gotta,
Kamara, right, right,
yeah, I gotta get the girls. Well, incredible.
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so now you're an entrepreneur. Now you have a podcast. You have other things you do. What takes up your time now?
My podcast, the podcasting world is tough right now. There's so many podcasts. It's sort of like they open the floodgates to everybody and their mother doing some sort of podcast. Like, it's sort of become like a prerequisite. Oh, you want to be a gunslinger, or you need a holster. You know, you want to, you want to be a stripper, or you need these type of shoes. You know what I mean? You want to be in entertainment, you need a podcast. It's like everybody has a podcast. It's sort of like, what in the world is going on here? So the competition for this is very high. You're dealing with great podcasts like Math Hoffa, like Vlad, like Drink Champs. They're funded. They're well funded. So you have to understand. You have to stay in your lane. And work your lane. And I do it. The reason why I developed the podcast in the first place is because I realized that and I didn't do it because I needed to have the type of exposure that people are out there trying to get. That really didn't drive me. What drove me was the fact that a lot of there's so many people that contributed to this hip hop culture that I love so dearly, and a lot of them get lost. They may have had one hit, or they may have came out with an album or two, and the overall sentiment as it relates to a lot of these artists is, okay, they did that thing. Okay, see you later. We've forgotten about you. We've moved on to all these new people, this whole new younger generation. But many years ago, I thought to myself, I said, hip hop, and they just turned 50, and that's argumentative. I think it's more than 50 years old, but 50 is the symbol, so we'll use that for right now. But it just turned 50. So many years ago, I always thought to myself, I said, it would be amazing, and this was years ago. I had this on my mind. that it would be amazing, at some point, Run DMC could play Vegas, right? And you would always go to Vegas to see Run DMC play. And now, they have Wu Tang in Vegas and all these other people that have hotel stints out in Las Vegas. But I say that to say that hip hop should never be age should never be a factor. As long as your audience is breathing, your audience should go out to support, right? I mean, I could talk about rap artists like Chuck D and Flavor Flav. Flavor Flav is a huge star. Till this day, he's older than everybody probably on this phone. He's at least 66 years old. He's 66, 65, I'm not too sure. But my point is, age should never be an issue. We did a concert. When I say we, I said my former television partners, Ed Lover and Dr. Dre and myself. We hosted a concert at the Barclays Center in 2018. It was called the MTV Raps Experience. We have very little promotion, very little support from Viacom, very little. And the place was packed, 17,000 plus. There
Wow.
were no incidents. There was, and it was the biggest concert of its time, of this era of music. So, when and the week after, Summer Jam hit. So now Summer Jam had, double the numbers because they used Giant Stadium at the time. But that's of no consequence because the naysayers say the first thing they say is, "Oh, old school hip hop, they don't do the numbers. They don't have an audience. They have an
Mm.
audience. The audience was right there in front of me, and the audience wasn't even promoted to, and we got 17.5. You understand? So
Wow.
you know, so my point is, forget what people say. There's so many people that still love Run DMC. They still love the Beasties. They still love Houdini. They still love Redman, Method Man. They still love Wu Tang. There's so many Big Daddy Kane. There's so many people that are a part of that genre as far as artists are concerned that continuously put out music, and no one's here to support them. That's why I developed the podcast because I'm here to support them. I'm here to interview them. I'm here to keep their legacy going. You know, I really want to take my podcast to radio. At some point to further enhance my capabilities as it relates to playing their new songs and X, Y, and Z because it's necessary. And I listen to these guys all day, all the time on on the internet, and they come out with albums. Rakim just came out with a new album. Does anybody know that? Big Daddy Kane comes out with a new album. Redman. These are people from the '90s, late '80s. They still do it, and they tour all the time. They tour and go to all these places. But mainstream does not accept them. Mainstream radio would rather play all the new artists.
Are you
And it's
serious?
I'm dead serious. They constantly tour. De La Soul's never home. Never. Tribe Called Quest is never home. Redman, he's never home. He's always on the road. And let's not even talk about the really big artists. So let's talk about artists like Elder Sensei, and let's talk about Edo G and the Bulldogs. Let's talk about people like that. These guys, you talk about Master Ace and DJ and Marco Polo. These guys tour. These guys tour all the time. They always go. So my point is, there is a lane for that. There are people who are listening to that. And commercial radio and commercial, and television has turned their back
Hmm.
on it because they feel that it's not going to generate the money. But if you put the energy into it, it will generate the money because it's viable. And I've been
Right.
preaching
And they
this
had
gospel for quite
audience.
some time. Right? They have an audience. For you to sit
Hmm.
there and say they don't have an audience is ridiculous. Matter of fact, their audience's money is just as big and thick as the disposable income you're getting from the younger people because these people work. They have
Right.
families.
Right.
You understand?
Hmm.
So I mean, come on, you that's a terrible way to think, but and it destroys our culture. And keep in mind something. So many of us, Dr. Phil. Now, me, I'm talking to you directly. No
Yeah,
disrespect,
yeah,
Oscar.
yeah.
I'm talking to Dr. Phil. So many of us, they buy into that BS, and that's not what it is. So
I agree. I agree. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
a lot of talent came out of our era, man. And I listen to music now, and I hear all of the residue of those guys that you just mentioned, like all the beats that you hear. A lot of the beats and a lot of the music you hear now came straight out of that era.
Right. And it has a lot to do with of this energy, and it's sad to a degree, but we have us as older artists have to also accept what's coming out now, whether it be trap music or whether it be stuff that they don't necessarily. They figure, they talk about how some artists are give you mumble rap and whatever it is. They should accept it because it's still rap music. They should try to understand it. And then the younger audience don't necessarily want to hear people talk down to them. You know, or if you weren't here at this particular time, you too young to understand. It's sort of like your parents, scolding you. Oh, you too young. You young. Go back in your room, right? You can't do that. This kid is making $100,000 a show. He'll go back in my room. Okay, forget you, right? So think about this, man. Just think about what you're doing, man. And support everybody. If you don't like it, or more importantly, like my mother said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut, right?
How
That's
can
it. That's it.
how, how can someone find your podcast?
Well, my podcast is on YouTube. It's the T Money Podcast joint featuring my co-host Sierra Ross. And it's spelled THA, not THE. The T Money Podcast joint. We've had several great guests on our show. We're in season 3 right now, and we've been going for a few years, and I'm very excited about what we're going to be doing moving forward.
I love that you're bringing the original people back there. And I don't know if you're familiar with the movie The Blues Brothers. When they made that movie, they
Absolutely.
resurrected all of these old blues guys that were just sitting around doing nothing, and all of a sudden they became, they were top of mind again. Another movie, Buena
Hmm.
Vista Social Club, did the same thing for old Cuban musicians that were like teaching school, and then he basically got the bands together. So it's important to bring the originators out and have, again, these kids coming up now. They've never really been exposed to like the original stuff, and
But
just bringing that back out and bringing out the artists. And
but Oscar. But
Well,
here's the thing, right? I mean, this is what I'm. This is the thing with my point. If you don't know the history of something, you can end up kind of like going in a circle of kind of developing something to where you don't even know what the roots are, right? It's like how can we develop in something in a genre when you don't even know what the roots are? You don't even know. You can't associate with the people that got us there, right?
mhm.
I remember when rap used to be considered a bad thing. It's like it was just considered, or hip hop just was considered something on a negative. Look at how people are looking at it now. You have a totally different vision of it, and I believe that is because of the guys that created that vision. They turned it into something else, and so this generation can enjoy that because of the
Mhm.
work that was done prior. You know,
Right.
and I
So
think
yeah,
I just think it's important that we connect the two.
yeah, because all it does is hurt you. It's like we're separating ourselves culturally, which is I can
Hmm.
get even deeper, as it relates to race, but
Hmm.
it all stems a lot from that. Um, but we do need to come together. I mean, if you're a child, and when I say a child, I'm not really talking about a baby. I'm talking about when you're a younger person. Maybe I should say that.
Hmm.
You know who. you know who Abraham Lincoln was, but you weren't there, at that time, right? You weren't even alive when Abraham Lincoln was president, correct? But you know
Right.
who Babe Ruth was, right? Babe Ruth is a little younger than Abe Lincoln, right? But you weren't there then. You weren't in Yankee Stadium when he was hitting all those home runs, right? You
Right.
know, and why don't you know Grandmaster Flash? Why don't you know Cool Herc? Why don't you know Africa Bambaataa? Why don't you know any of these people? DJ Breakout, Baron, DJ Theodore. Why don't you know these people? These people, because you're aspiring to be a rapper. The most insulting thing is you're a rapper, you're a DJ, and don't know these people. You're
Right.
supposed to know these people because this is part of the reason why you're able to do this. This is history. You don't go into any business not understanding its origins.
Right.
You know, and
Absolutely.
and part of the reason why they're able to do that is because everything is like instant milk, instant oatmeal. I could sit right here in my car, in my illustrious car, just chill. If I had a beat machine with some headphones right now, I could make a track. I can go into the studio, right? Produce a song, put it on a platform that has millions of followers. I got a hit record. I don't need the process of learning the craft. I don't need the process of understanding why I'm doing this. I don't need that process. So these are the two things you're fighting. One
Yeah.
is you need to understand what you need to do, and you need to be more of an artist. You need to, and then you understand, and then you have the instant money, instant success, instant. So, you know, that's where it clashes. You understand?
Right.
And
Right.
and then what they don't understand is, your instant success. When you attain something like that very quickly, you know what happens, right? You lose it just as fast, and that's
Right.
generally happens. Because you're building a house on sticks. You know what I'm saying? You're building a house on sticks, bro. Like,
Right.
shoot, my record went, I sold 1 million copies. You know, I
It's
mean,
true.
but this is what it is.
True.
This is what it
You
is.
know, it's like I admire what you guys have done, man, and it's a wonderful thing. I think more people need to respect it. More people need to know about it. And but
Right,
maybe it's because maybe I'm speaking because that was my generation. So it's like
right,
I have a huge level of respect for how everything was developed. I see all the fruits of the labor of all everybody that had to, raise their music from street level to where it's recognized by not just America but the world, right?
right.
The world recognizes the music. You know, we saw the
Yeah, the number
breakdancing
one, the
competition.
number one art, the number one music art form in the entire world, hip hop music.
Hip hop, it is. It
Incredible,
is.
incredible. In,
Incredible how we've gone
as my
from
Spanish,
just
as
yeah,
my Spanish
yeah.
friends would say, increíble, unbelievable,
It's good
unbelievable.
stuff.
You know,
Good stuff, man.
yeah, no question, brother. It's crazy. So
It went from house party music to mainstream music.
oh yeah, house party, the gangster music, the mainstream music, and it's all
Yeah.
it's all wrapped up in one thing now. You know. I look at how you can notice that how things go from one thing. Look at the career of somebody like Ice Cube, for instance. Ice Cube, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
MWA, his career was based on freedom of speech, saying what he felt like, going through all the political corruption and disrespect, and the
Hmm.
next thing he's doing great. He's doing great movies like Ride Along, and he's a commercial success, right?
Yep. Yep.
I show you. I
Yep.
show you the growth. I show you the growth of this business right there. Snoop too.
Hmm.
Snoop is one of those. Snoop is one of the biggest rap artists in this country, in the world for that
Yeah.
matter, right?
In the world. In the world.
Growth
Everywhere
and
he goes, people
growth and
people
maturation.
remember him. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
growth and maturation of the business, man. It'll show you right there, you know. So yeah, man. So this is why I started my podcast, and I am so eager to continue that. It's a labor of love for me, you know. And I encourage, you know, any of the artists that are able to listen to this podcast, you know, come holler at me. Um, I'm looking to, and it doesn't matter what city you're from. I mean, I'm looking at people from Philly, Boston, LA. It doesn't matter. You know, if you're in New York City, or we shoot in New York City, come holler at me. My assistant Annette will take care of you. She'll give you all the information and set up the interview. Come do your thing. We have a great time there. You know, I have a whole team of people. We take photos. We do great stuff there. So yeah,
Thank you so much for coming on, T Money. We really appreciate you. You know, Oscar
no
and
doubt,
I
brother.
are like Oscar and I are very honored to have you on. And feel free to come on again, man. Anytime. Anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Oscar's my guy, man. Me and
No,
Oscar gotta hang out a little bit. You know.
well, we don't have to fight over Oscar, man. You know, I mean,
No, that's all right. You can have him. I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry.
you can have,
I'm not
you can
fighting
have.
over another man. That's pause right there. We're not
You
doing
got to
that.
draw the line somewhere.
Facts. All right, man. Thank you
Where
so much, man.
I'll go with
Guys.
whoever feeds me.
Right.
All right.
Hey, you guys
Thank you
were
so
great,
much.
man. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
All right.
you got it.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you guys for
All right, brother.
watching, and we'll be back next week. Take care, everybody.